Hi guys, welcome to K-Stories. Today I am bringing you a recap of a mysterious K-drama. But before we dive in, please don't forget to like and subscribe. The drama opens with Tang, a young man who has just completed his mandatory military service. Now unemployed, Tang lives with his middle-class family. His own dream is to move to Canada, but his father has been quietly saving money in Tang's account to buy him a house after marriage instead. Feeling pressured by his family's constant suggestions to take jobs he finds meaningless, Tang decides to live independently. He rents a small room not far from home. Wanting to decorate it, he orders a picture to hang on the wall, but realizes he needs nails and a hammer to set it up. He doesn't have one. Tang soon finds work at a small convenience store. One night, two drunk men enter. One stays outside, while the other approaches Tang for a pack of cigarettes. He carelessly drops less money than needed, then demands a bottle of beer and some snacks for his friend waiting outside. Tang follows him outside and calmly tells him he must pay the correct amount first. The drunk man becomes irritated, but his companion steps in and tells Tang he will pay. After drinking, the man finally hands Tang the money, then drags his friend outside, saying they cannot smoke inside. Once the two finish their beer, they leave. The store owner tells Tang to go home, and Tang asks to borrow a hammer for the night so he can hang his picture. On his way back, Tang notices one of the drunk men lying unconscious on the road. He calls out to the other man, telling him his friend is behind the shop, but the man dismisses it and tells Tang to go home. As the drunk man begins to walk away, Tang suddenly punches him from behind. Enraged, the man turns and slaps Tang hard, then starts beating him while yelling that he told Tang to leave. As Tang is hit repeatedly, he recalls being beaten by classmates in his school years in the same relentless manner. Overwhelmed, something inside him breaks. Trembling, he pulls out the hammer he borrowed to hang his picture and strikes the drunk man in the face. Thunder rumbles and rain pours down as the man briefly stirs when the cold water hits his body. The injured man slowly manages to stand but immediately crashes into the shop shutter and collapses again. Tang stands frozen, horrified by what he has just done. At that moment, a blind woman appears, walking slowly with her guide dog. She moves closer and closer to the scene as the dog leads her toward the unconscious body. Tang panics internally, but the woman does not understand what has occurred. She simply tells her dog, "Don't eat anything lying on the road," and continues on her way. As soon as she leaves, Tang grabs his bag and rushes away. His mind races with images of being handcuffed by police, imagining his mother fainting at the sight, but it turns out to be only a dream. Lying awake that night, he wonders why the police have not arrived yet. Then he suddenly remembers he left the hammer at the scene. The realization terrifies him. By morning, police officers reach the site and begin their investigation. Among the evidence, they find a plastic bag carried by one of the drunk men. Printed on it is the name of the store where Tang works. Detective Jang Nan-gam soon visits the same store. He casually buys a pack of cigarettes, then steps outside and sits down. Moments later, two local troublemakers, Thug Number 1 and Thug Number 2, approach him. Thug Number 1 asks Detective Jang for a lighter. Jang replies bluntly that he doesn't smoke. Annoyed, Thug Number 1 starts insulting him. But as soon as Detective Jang's partner appears, Jang orders, "Put them in the car. These two need to learn a lesson." At the police station, Officer Park, a sincere and decent officer, tries to reason with the boys, telling them not to behave disrespectfully toward strangers again. Meanwhile, Detective Jang sits in front of the store's CCTV footage. A colleague comments that two bodies were found and suggests they might have killed each other in a fight. Still unsure, Jang returns to the market. He asks the shopkeeper whether the young man seen in the video, the same employee who works there, sold anything to the victims before they died. At that moment, Tang arrives. Detective Jang takes Tang outside and sits him down. Tang asks nervously if they are going to talk outside. Detective Jang smirks and replies, asking if Tang would prefer going to the police station instead. He then asks whether Tang killed the man who raised his fist at him the previous night. Tang freezes in fear, but Detective Jang quickly laughs and says he was joking. He only wants Tang to confirm that the two drunk men sat there for 2 hours and to say what they talked about. Tang stammers that they talked about their families and their daily struggles. Overwhelmed with fear, Tang is close to confessing when Jang's colleague arrives with news. The forensic report states that both men died while fighting each other. A witness even claimed to have seen them hitting each other with bricks. At the police station, the wife of one of the dead men is brought in. Through tears, she mentions that her husband was always drunk, but his friend cared for her and her child. She said she had been planning to divorce her husband and stay with that friend. Later, Detective Jang steps outside and tells his team he still does not believe the two men killed each other. He points out that there was no blood on the bricks they supposedly used. That night, Tang's friend Jang visits him and asks why he hasn't been answering calls. Tang lies, saying his phone is broken. Jang then tells him that a policeman questioned him about Tang, and it seemed like the officer suspected Tang of murder. Several days pass, then Officer Park runs to Detective Jang with urgent news. One of the dead men was living under a fake identity. The DNA report shows he was a serial killer missing since 2009. His real name was Yo-boy. When Tang sees the news on television, he is shocked. He realizes that if he had not defended himself that night, the man would likely have killed him. The narration implies that the killer met his own punishment. The episode then shows the blind woman from earlier playing with her dog. Inside her home, the hammer Tang used is seen there, creating a mystery that continues in the next episode. The story shifts to Tang regaining consciousness in his room, blood on his clothes, unable to remember what happened. The episode begins revealing the events that led to this moment. Later, Tang visits his mother, who takes him to church. Inside, she whispers that she knows someone was murdered near his workplace, and says that whatever happened must have been for the best, claiming that evil men deserve punishment. She adds that God's punishment is silent, but certain. After church, Tang buys a new phone because his previous one was damaged during the fight. He returns to work at the store. Soon after, the same blind woman enters and asks for a pack of cigarettes. Tang recognizes her immediately and freezes. She smirks and tells him she's not actually blind. She claims she witnessed everything that night and says he must now pay. If he no longer has the hammer, she demands 2 million won instead. Panicking, Tang runs to the phone shop and tries to return the phone for money, but the seller refuses. It cannot be returned. He must finish paying the installments before selling it secondhand. Defeated, Tang checks his bank balance, only 192,371 won. He asks his employer for an advance, but the man refuses at first, saying he never lends money. After reconsidering, he deposits some money into Tang's account. Still short on cash, Tang secretly goes to his mother's house and takes the passbook and checkbook where his father has been saving money for him. He rushes to the bank and withdraws the entire amount. While Tang is working, his boss arrives and asks why he has been wandering around outside. Tang brushes it off, saying it was nothing. The boss then adds that a strange girl wearing dark glasses was outside and seemed to be staring at him. Alarmed, Tang rushes out, but he finds no one, only an empty cigarette pack on a table. On it, someone has written an address, telling him to come the next day at noon. The following day, Tang goes to the location. The girl who blackmails Tang greets him, offering coffee and a paper cup. With a sharp, probing expression, she asks whether he also killed the second man. Tang insists he did not. He hands her the money, but she laughs. She demands 2 million won every month, saying he killed a man and cannot escape the consequences so easily. She reveals the hammer, carefully wrapped in plastic to preserve the fingerprints, and explains that her dog brought it home the night of the incident. She tells him that as long as he pays her every month, she will keep his secret. Tang panics at the impossibility of the amount. In desperation, he grabs the hammer from her, saying he paid her, so he is taking it back. The woman's tone turns threatening. She says that if the truth reaches his family, his mother will suffer publicly, his sister's marriage will fall apart, and even if he claims self-defense, he will still face a long prison sentence. She insists she is the only one protecting him and asks whether he wants her help or not. Tang realizes she will never stop. She will keep controlling him and extorting him endlessly. Unable to bear it, he attacks her with the same hammer she used to blackmail him. He hits her repeatedly until she stops moving. He collects his money, takes the hammer, and runs away. In his panic, he leaves a trail of blood behind. The woman's dog runs to her body, whimpering and licking the blood. Days later, the milkman notices the untouched milk packets accumulating outside her door. Concerned, he peeks inside and is horrified to find her dead. He calls the police immediately. Detective Jang arrives with his team. As they examine the scene, Officer Park quietly asks what they should do about the dog. The animal, unable to distinguish its owner from food, had begun licking and feeding on her wounds out of hunger. When officers attempted to restrain the dog, it suddenly started digging at a certain spot. To their shock, they uncovered a buried skeleton beneath the ground. As more officers gathered at the site and continued digging, they uncovered not one but 2 skeletons. Their superior asked for an update. An officer reported that both skeletons had been sent to forensics, and they would share the results as soon as they returned. Meanwhile, 4 days had passed since the second murder. Tang had locked himself inside his room, surviving without food or water. In the silence, he realized a person could endure 4 days without eating or drinking, though he did not know how much longer he could last. His friends kept calling, but Tang ignored it. He wondered why the police had not yet come to arrest him after committing murder. Elsewhere, an officer walked in carrying the forensic report. He stated that the dog had licked away every surface where fingerprints could have been found. The dog was brought to the station, but the senior officer became furious. He scolded Officer Park, saying the animal was dangerous and should not be in the building. At the same time, Tang was sinking deeper into despair and preparing to take his own life. Suddenly, someone began pounding on his door. It was his friend, worried about him. Tang returned the money he had borrowed and told him to leave, but his friend insisted he wasn't there for the money, he was genuinely concerned. That night, while Officer Park was asleep in his office, his superior handed him a letter instructing him to deliver the dog to the address written inside. Whatever happened to the dog afterward, whether it lived or died, would be the responsibility of the recipient. Park hesitated, asking if he was truly being told to carry out such an order, but he obeyed. As he escorted the dog through the streets, the animal suddenly caught Tang's scent. Tang was listening to music while moping in a private room at a local karaoke bar. Park quietly whispered to the dog that he was taking it somewhere safe, not to be killed. Nearby, Thug Number 1 and Thug Number 2 were lurking, still angry after being humiliated by Detective Jang at the police station. Seeking revenge, Thug Number 1 smashed the beer bottle and stabbed Park in the stomach. The dog ran off in fear as the two men escaped. Park collapsed in pain but received no help. At that same moment, Tang stepped outside and glanced at his phone. A news headline appeared. A murderer named Ji-sura had killed her parents and buried them in her garden. Tang whispered to himself that he had killed 2 people and both had been bad individuals. With no evidence found against him, he believed fate was protecting him. Elsewhere, the two thugs argued. Thug Number 2 scolded Thug Number 1 for stabbing a police officer. Thug Number 1 asked for a cigarette, but Thug Number 2 cursed, saying the packet fell while they were running. Then they saw Tang approaching. As soon as Tang noticed blood on Thug Number 1's clothes, he realized they were dangerous. His body reacted with the same instinctive signal he had felt during previous killings, an internal push toward violence. By morning, the bodies of Thug Number 1 and Thug Number 2 were discovered in a deep pit. Tang, meanwhile, was found unconscious in his room just like before. When he woke, he stared in confusion, unable to remember how he got there. On the floor beside him were a hammer, a brick, and a slip of paper. When Tang read it, it said, "If you need help, message us on Telegram." This note had been left by the mysterious individuals who carried him home while he was unconscious. The episode then shifts to the past. We see the girl who blackmails Tang in her younger years. She was heavily drinking with her friends, unaware that gas was leaking in the room. When she unknowingly lit a lighter, the room ignited, burning one of her eyes and ruining her vision permanently. Later, she attempted to burn her house down to kill her own parents after taking out 8 life insurance policies in their name. But the plan failed as her mother woke up from the smell of gas and questioned it. Enraged, the young woman stabbed her parents and buried their body in the garden. As the saying goes, as you sow, so shall you reap. She eventually died in a similar manner, becoming a victim of the violence she herself inflicted on others. The story returns to the present. Detective Jang and his partner visit the woman's cousin. The cousin explains she had always been arrogant and took pleasure in hurting people. A few days later, when Officer Park recovered from his injuries and returned to work, his colleagues welcomed him warmly. Park admitted he still could not believe someone would try to kill a harmless man like him. He said he tried to chase the attacker, but passed out from blood loss. His superior replied that they still did not know who killed the 2 thugs, but urged Park to rest. Park refused, saying staying home would only make him feel worse. The next day, Detective Jang attended Thug Number 2's funeral. The grieving mother cried that her son had never harmed anyone and begged Jang to find the real killer. Afterward, Jang sat silently in his car. His partner said he should have shown leniency to the grieving mother, but Jang rejected the comment. He described the 2 thugs as habitual offenders who committed multiple crimes. He told the story of a girl named Seo who was lured and assaulted by both men when they were students. She survived but later took her own life. Because the boys were minors at the time, they were released easily and continued committing crimes afterward. Jang stated that if something like that had happened to his daughter, he would have killed them himself. Later, Jang returned to the store and showed the shopkeeper a photo of the blackmailing woman. The owner confirmed she had visited and had been wandering outside. When asked about Tang, the shopkeeper's tone hardened, complaining that Tang had betrayed him. The store owner complained that Lee Tang had taken an advance salary and never returned. Meanwhile, Tang sent a message to the Telegram account listed on the slip of paper. A reply came, and when he saw the name connected to the account, he went pale. The next day, Detective Jang's partner visited the father of the victim. The man, weighed down by grief, stated that his daughter had been innocent and trusting, and that Thug 1 and Thug 2 had destroyed her life. He claimed that's why he killed them. Meanwhile, Tang was consumed by fear and guilt. In desperation, he called the police and said he wanted to surrender. The officer mocked him, telling him to come after he finished repenting. Tang packed the brick and hammer into his bag and left home. At the station, Detective Jang found his partner and superior taking the victim's father's confession. The man said he killed the two thugs while they were drunk. Later, Jang confronted him directly, saying he knew the man was lying because the killer was right-handed while he was left-handed. At that moment, Jang's superior pulled him aside, irritated, insisting the confession was enough and the case was closed. Jang refused to back down, arguing that they needed real evidence for the reputation of the department. After the superior left, Jang's partner admitted that they had told the grieving mother of Thug 2 who the suspected killer was. Realizing this, Jang urgently asked where the victim's father had gone. They had already sent him home. On his way back, the father of the victim replayed the events of the tragic night in his mind. But before he reached home, the furious mother of Thug 2 intentionally ran her car into him, hitting him at full speed. Jang and his partner arrived shortly after. Jang clenched his fists, knowing such retaliation was likely. Elsewhere, Tang deposited the last of his money. As he exited the bank, two bikers snatched his bag, causing him to fall and injure himself. The thieves later discovered there was no cash inside and discarded the bag in the water. Tang, bleeding, was taken to the hospital. At the hospital, Detective Jang questioned the father of the victim again. He asked why the man would confess to something he didn't do. The father insisted he killed the two thugs to punish them for what they did to his daughter. Jang replied that the law existed to deliver punishment, not individuals, then said they would talk again the next day. Later, after medical checks, a nurse left the victim's father in the lobby. He checked his phone and noticed a telegram message. When he looked up, he saw Tang himself. With sudden determination, he pushed his wheelchair toward Tang, but it tipped over and he fell hard. Tang immediately rushed over to help. The father whispered that Tang shouldn't be there because too many police officers were around. When Tang asked how he knew him, the father said Tang still had much to learn and told him to check Telegram. He also thanked Tang for killing Thug 1 and Thug 2, then urged him to leave quickly. Tang left silently. Outside, Detective Jang had been in his car and saw Tang leaving the hospital. Suspicion grew in his eyes and he began following him. Inside, the father of the victim sat quietly, remembering moments with his daughter. Overwhelmed by grief, he swallowed a large quantity of sleeping pills. As he closed his eyes, he whispered her name and died. The scene shifted to the past. That night, the father of the victim had been hunting Thug 1 and Thug 2, intending to kill them. But before he could strike, he witnessed Tang fighting them. Tang killed both men with extreme force and then collapsed unconscious. Back in the present, Detective Jang was still following Tang when a call came from the hospital. The nurse reported that the father of the victim had attempted suicide. Jang stopped tailing Tang and rushed to the hospital, where doctors were trying to save the man's life. Meanwhile, Tang checked Telegram and saw the account had been deleted. He remembered the night he was carried home after killing the two thugs. One of the men was the victim's father. The identity of the second person remained unknown. As episode 3 closed, Tang's mother and sister arrived at his apartment. When no one answered, they had the receptionist unlock the door. His mother was horrified at the condition of the room. On the table lay a letter. Its contents would be revealed next. A wealthy businessman stumbled out of a hotel after a night of heavy drinking. As he approached his car, he saw a man waiting in the shadows. Assuming he was the driver, he ordered him to hurry. The man wore a jacket labeled "Only for Heroes," the same name that had messaged Tang on Telegram. The businessman entered the car, but moments later, his real driver called, saying he was waiting in the parking lot. Terrified, the businessman realized someone else was driving him. Before he could react, the imposter knocked him unconscious. The next morning, his body was found floating in the river. That night, Tang's sister visited the convenience store, searching for Tang. The owner replied coldly that Tang had left the job 4 months earlier and that no one knew his whereabouts except his family, who had repaid all his debts. During this time, Officer Park also retired and quietly returned home with his belongings. But across the city, the past 4 months had been filled with a series of brutal killings. A special investigation team was formed but made no progress, and eventually the team was dissolved. Detective Jang Nangam's partner, Young-jae, muttered angrily that the case should be handed back to them since they had been working on it since the beginning. Detective Jang scoffed that the special team had never been there to solve anything, only to pretend to investigate. The police superior overheard and confronted him. She argued that when no evidence exists, circumstances should be blamed, not investigators. Jang countered that she was shifting responsibility to protect herself. She replied coldly that he should watch her investigative program on TV every Friday at 10 p.m. In the next scene, Robin, a YouTuber known for combining gaming content with crime analysis, appeared. That evening, his doorbell rang and he was startled to find Detective Jang standing outside. Jang entered casually, saying he needed help from this fat guy. Robin frowned, pointing out that despite months of work, Jang had not uncovered a single clue which suggested incompetence. Jang smirked, reminding him that the police had caught him once in the past. Robin shifted uncomfortably, asking him not to bring that up. Jang urged him to study the case files. Robin examined them and observed that the earlier attacks looked unplanned, but the later killings showed precision, as if the killer were improving with time. He also noted that every victim had been a criminal, which seems to be why the killer kept avoiding consequences. When the delivery boy arrived, Robin collected his food and returned inside, but Jang suddenly called his partner and told him to enter the apartment. Jang then pressed Robin, asking how he knew so many details about the murders. He accused him of hiding information and said he would be taken to the station for questioning. Robin protested that the police were abusing their power without a warrant. Jang replied that he could either come quietly now or have his home raided later. Robin reluctantly agreed. After listening to his statement, his superior dismissed it as pointless and ordered him to release the YouTuber. Outside, Jang's partner whispered that all Robin's information came from online sources, so they had no grounds to detain him. Jang personally drove Robin home. Robin was silent, while Jang complained that he couldn't find a single meaningful clue. Robin responded coldly that it wasn't his problem and that Jang was the detective. Jang warned him that if he discovered anything and kept it secret, there would be consequences. Later, while eating at a small restaurant, Jang noticed the dog belonging to the girl who blackmailed Tang. He followed it and saw it scavenging trash to bring back to the woman's empty house. Jang felt a pang of sadness. Elsewhere, Robin inspected his collectible figures nervously. Their necks had been twisted earlier when Jang was angry. Another knock came at the door. A delivery boy stood there with tofu. Robin accepted it and warned him to be cautious of a crazy detective harassing him. That delivery boy was Tang. As Tang walked downstairs, another detective questioned him. In a nearby car, Detective Jung sat with Young-jae, watching. Young-jae asked why they were following a YouTuber. Jung explained that years ago, while tracking a murderer, Robin had protected the suspect. He suspected the same thing was happening again. Another detective approached and reported that a second delivery boy had been seen entering Robin's place, a faceless courier who never showed his face. Jung ordered the team to chase him immediately. He then barged into Robin's room, ripping cables out of his computer and accusing him of selecting murder victims. Outside, officers chased the faceless delivery boy. At a red light, Young-jae jumped out of the car and sprinted, eventually catching him. Inside, Jong was destroying Robin's toys as Robin protested that his actions were illegal. Jong ignored him. When Young-jae brought the captured delivery boy inside, Jong snapped that he had not asked for him. Then Jong received a furious call from his superior, telling him that the assault was being streamed live online and ordering him to leave immediately. Jong searched Robin's computer and found multiple hidden cameras. Police outside began shouting, demanding entry. Jong tore a hidden camera from behind a Batman poster and glared at Robin. Robin calmly lifted his 360-degree camera, recording everything. Jong attempted to hit him, but Young-jae held him back. Police stormed in and dragged Jong away. The truth from 4 months earlier was then revealed. 4 months ago, Tang left a letter for his parents saying he was going to Canada to find purpose in his life. At the airport, he saw a news report revealing that the 2 boys he had killed were criminals from their school days. He felt momentary relief. Curious, he searched online for Only for Heroes but found nothing. With little money, Canada was impossible. Instead, he boarded a train to Busan. When he awoke, the train was empty except for a boy sitting beside him. The boy smiled and introduced himself as one of the Only for Heroes, saying he could help Tang. He brought Tang to his home, saying they could do great things together. The boy revealed he had helped carry Tang home after the night Tang killed the two thugs. He told Tang he had a special ability, that every person Tang killed turned out to be a criminal, and that evidence disappeared after each murder. He said this meant Tang was meant to continue cleansing the world and that he would support him financially, even offering 50 million won to help fulfill Tang's dream of going to Canada. Tang remained speechless, unable to understand what was happening. The next day, Ro-ben sat across from Tang and explained that when Tang encountered a wicked person, he would feel it in his body, an impulse, pushing him toward killing. Tang denied it, but Ro-ben insisted he would realize it soon. Later, Tang asked Ro-ben about his supposed partners. Ro-ben responded that Tang had already met one, the father of the victim in the hospital. As for the other partner, Ro-ben said it was better that Tang did not meet him. He told Tang to open the cupboard behind him. Tang stepped inside and found a hidden room. His eyes widened. Inside the hidden room, Tang found shelves filled with files on criminals, collections of weapons, and various disturbing materials. From the available weapons, he selected one and put on the dark jacket hanging near the door. The jacket carried the emblem of Only for Heroes. Then he stepped out into the night. Soon afterward, Tang bumped into a businessman on the street, and the familiar violent impulse surged inside him. He realized Ro-ben had been correct. Tang kidnapped the man and took him to a deserted beach, tying him to a chair. The man pleaded, insisting he had a family and had never harmed anyone. Tang replied that if the man were truly innocent, he would not be feeling the urge to kill him. At that moment, Ro-ben arrived. He seized the man's phone, connected it to his laptop, and quickly uncovered hidden files, videos revealing the businessman's crimes against a young girl. The man panicked, offering money for his release, but Tang's expression had gone cold. He used a knife and killed him. The next morning, the businessman's body was found floating in the water. Later, Tang told Ro-ben he had finally found a purpose in life. Tang returned to his gym, retrieved a hidden bag full of weapons, and from then on, he killed every criminal Ro-ben sent him. The police had no lead, no evidence, no trace, no clue. Their superiors grew furious and blamed them. Some officers even assaulted their superior, leading to suspensions. Detective Jang was also suspended, despite not being involved. Tang continued killing criminals one after another, gradually finding enjoyment in the act. What had once terrified him now felt exhilarating. Meanwhile, Detective Jang's life was growing increasingly strained. In the final scene, a policeman showed a delivery boy a photograph and asked if he recognized the person. The boy identified him as Tang. The officer then asked where Tang could be found. For the first time, someone had reached Tang's trail. His hiding place was no longer secret. At present, Tang lived quietly, working in the fishing department of a supermarket. He rarely spoke and remained distant. Choi, who worked there as well, also hid her past. Her ex-boyfriend had leaked her private video, and she lived away from home to avoid shame. She shared Tang's quiet, guarded nature and distrust of others. One day, an angry customer demanded a refund for goods she claimed were poor quality. Young-a checked the system and found no record of the purchase. The manager instructed her to give the refund anyway, along with complimentary items. At her car, the woman found a cigarette butt on her windshield and accused Tang, who happened to be standing nearby. Tang replied that being present didn't make him responsible. When she threatened to show dashcam footage, Tang pointed out that her dashcam would also show her stealing from the store. He offered to call the police himself. Young-a witnessed the interaction quietly. That night, Young-a approached Tang and explained that she felt they were alike, distant, silent, working far from home, and harsh toward troublesome customers. She admitted she once had big dreams, but only wants an ordinary life now. Elsewhere, retired Officer Park visited Detective Jang. Park noticed a dog in his home. Jang said the dog had been wandering and he had taken it in. Park asked why Jang was not answering Young Jae's calls. Jang replied that did Young Jae tell him that he wasn't answering calls? Park said to Jang, Young Jae is bothering me because you do not answer his calls. That's why I told him to come. Jang was surprised. Come where? Here? Now? Young Jae soon arrived at Jang's place. Bitterly, he accused Jang of not trusting him and said if they had worked together, they might have caught the killer. Jang still refused to share information. Young Jae then mentioned a recent murder in Busan involving a professor, implying that Tang might be connected. Jang commented that Busan had many unsolved murders. Young Jae insisted they should go to Busan themselves. Together, they visited Tang's home. His family reported him missing. Young Jae told them to file a formal missing person report so the police could begin searching. Meanwhile, Young-a ate alone at a restaurant. A young man named Ha Song-min observed her closely. Annoyed, she confronted him. Sang-min said he felt he knew her from before and introduced himself. Later, they met again and began forming a friendship. Elsewhere, Tang's mother and sister officially filed the missing person report. Detective Jang and Yang-jae traveled to Busan seeking help from local police. The local officer resisted, saying they already had an investigation underway and did not want them interfering. Detective Jang showed an official order, forcing him to cooperate. The next morning, Tang left his apartment. In the elevator, he noticed a boy whose posture triggered Tang's instinctive urge to strike, but he restrained himself. At the same time, Young-a received a call from Songmin. Surprised, she asked how he had gotten her number. Songmin replied that he simply found it and wanted to meet her about something important. When they met, Songmin revealed he had broken up with his girlfriend and tried to get close to Young-a. He stayed at her home that night, though she felt no emotional connection.
The next morning, Sungmin returned to his fiancée, telling her he had important work to do even though their wedding was approaching. When she noticed luggage in his car, she accused him of lying and assumed he was going on a fishing trip. She scolded him but let him leave. Later, Tang returned to the supermarket and saw Young-a talking to a man, unaware it was Songmin and unaware of their relationship. That night, while Songmin slept, Young-a found messages from his girlfriend on his phone. Songmin woke up and forcefully took his phone back. Young-a, shocked, confronted him for lying about the breakup. Songmin replied bluntly that he was drawn to her only because he had seen her leaked video and wanted to sleep with her. Their argument intensified, and Young-a threatened to tell his girlfriend everything. Sungmin snapped. He grabbed her by the throat and strangled her. After killing her, he calmly planned his next steps. By the next morning, the news reported a woman dead in a fire. Tang switched off the TV before learning more. In reality, Songmin had set fire to his own apartment to erase evidence of the murder. When Detective Jong later inquired about the case, an officer said the victim worked at a supermarket, spoke little, and likely died in the fire. Jong suspected murder and said they should investigate further. When Tang arrived at work, a colleague informed him that Young-a had been killed. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared, Song-chon, the mentally unstable former officer. He chased Tang through the supermarket. Tang managed to escape briefly, but at the same moment Detective Jong and Young-jae arrived and began pursuing him as well. Tang ran into a storeroom, only to find Song-chon already inside. The man knocked Tang down and told him to stand up because they still had far to go. Hearing Detective Jong approaching, Tang shoved Song-chon aside and fled. When Jong entered, the room was empty. Outside, Young-jae reported that someone had stolen the CCTV hard drive. Jong showed Tang's photo to the manager, who confirmed Tang worked there. Another officer stepped in and suspended Jong for interfering again. Jong replied that, even suspended, he would continue working. In Song-chon's dark room, he reviewed the stolen CCTV footage which showed Songmin with Young-a before her death. Meanwhile, Songmin sat anxiously in a clinic. The doctor informed him he had HIV and that with careful treatment, he might recover. Shocked, Songmin left and immediately called his fiancée. She revealed she also had HIV, confessing she had made a mistake recently. Songmin's anger erupted. When he returned home, he found Song-chon waiting in the darkness. Song-chon asked him if he knew Young-a and if he had slept with her. Songmin admitted he had, but claimed he did not kill her. Song-chon pressured him, saying witnesses heard fighting that night and demanded the truth. Sangmin insisted he had argued with Young-a and that neighbors may have heard them but maintained he did not kill her. Song-chon slowly clapped mockingly. Sangmin asked whether he had an arrest warrant. Song-chon snarled that he had not come to arrest him, he had come to kill him. Elsewhere, Tang called Robin, his voice shaking. He said the police were pursuing him and that he had run. Robin advised him to turn off his phone and stay hidden, saying he would handle the situation. Back in Sungmin's apartment, Song-chon tied Sungmin to a chair with tape. He coldly stated that he sought out people like Sungmin and killed them, and that someone worse than him would come looking for him too. Sungmin pleaded that he would tell the truth if Song-chon let him go. Song-chon replied, "So you admit it. You killed Young-a. Fine, write your confession," and ordered him to write a confession of the murder. Sungmin's hand trembled as he began to write. He never completed the confession. Song-chon had killed Sungmin in anger before he could finish writing the full confession with detail. He regretted it afterward, as now there is no way to prove that Sungmin murdered Young-a. He rushed to clean his apartment thoroughly to remove all the evidence. He carefully cleaned the room, wiping every corner, not leaving a single strand of hair, not a single trace for the forensic team to find. Meanwhile, Detective Jang arrived at Tang's home with another officer. Young-jae went to Sangmin's home with another policeman. On the way, Young-jae unknowingly passed by Song-chan.
They knocked on Sangmin's door but received no answer. Jang and his partner forced entry. Inside, the room was filled with residue from a fire extinguisher. Young-jae pressed his ear to the wall and heard a faint gas leak. A sudden explosion followed, throwing him backward and seriously injuring him. Police had detained a man, the same individual Tang's instincts had warned him about. During interrogation, the man admitted he disliked Tang's face, stole his room key, entered and sprayed a fire extinguisher to dirty the place. He questioned why Tang filed a complaint. The officer responded sharply that a woman had been murdered and he had tampered with her room, thereby destroying evidence. Elsewhere, Detective Jang visited his ill father but received a call from Young-jae, who reported seeing someone who might have planted the bomb. He told him to focus on treatment and assured him he would handle the investigation. Later, Jang asked his mother about his critically ill father. That night, Robin entered his dark home. A voice told him not to be afraid. It was Song-chan waiting inside. He had removed all cameras and recording devices. When the lights came on, Robin immediately asked whether Song-chan caused the explosion at Sangmin's house. Song-chan replied mockingly, reminding Robin that he once called him a hero. Robin retorted that he was not a hero. Enraged, Song-chan struck Robin with a toy figure. He said Robin had taught him everything and demanded to meet their new hero. Robin said he was searching for Tang. Song-chan commented that when he had gone to greet Tang earlier, Tang ran away in fear. He demanded Robin arrange a meeting. Taking one of Robin's books, he prepared to leave. When Robin attempted to attack him from behind, Song-chan easily evaded. His ability allowed him to sense murderous intent ahead of time. Meanwhile, Tang was playing a video game with an unfamiliar man beside him. As Tang looked at him, the urge to kill surfaced again. He controlled himself, quietly leaving without drawing attention. At the same time, Young-jae traveled to Robin's home to question him and encountered Song-chan. When Young-jae identified himself as police, Song-chan threw him off the building. Later, police brought Robin to the station. He demanded to speak only with Detective Jang. Trembling, he said he had heard a fight, gone outside, and found Young-jae on the ground. Jang, furious, pointed a gun at him and threatened to shoot if he lied. Terrified, Robin confessed that Song-chan had done it. The story shifted. A college couple narrowly avoided being hit by a car. The boy insulted the driver in anger. In the back seat sat Song-chan, silently observing. Later, Detective Jang angrily confronted Robin, saying that if Robin had told him earlier, he could have captured Song-chan. Robin pleaded that he should not tell Tang about this, insisting Tang was uninvolved. Jang warned him to hide or risk becoming the next target. Outside, Jang told the other officers that Young-jae had seen Song-chan. One officer angrily blamed Jang's investigation for previous suspensions. Jang walked away. Meanwhile, Song-chan abducted the same boy and girl, taking them to a rooftop. He beat the boy severely and lectured him for lacking respect. He told the girl he would spare her. When asked for a pen, she said she had none because she was an art student. Song-chan mocked her, asking why she attended an expensive art school if she knew nothing. Then he killed her as well. At night, Tang lay in bed, disturbed. The news reported that a man had killed someone and fled. It was the same individual who had been sitting beside Tang earlier playing video games. Tang left to find him. Detective Jang was sitting with his father when his phone rang. It was the new captain, who soon arrived in person. The captain asked Jang for help catching Song-chan, saying Jang knew him better than anyone. He added that Song-chan had killed the granddaughter of a construction company chairman and that solving this case guaranteed a promotion. He told Jang he could return to active duty the next day. In the next scene, Robin visited the construction company where the chairman's granddaughter had been killed. His phone rang. It was Tang. Tang asked what kind of person Song-chan was. Robin recalled their first meeting, when Song-chan had fought several men alone. He warned Tang to stay hidden and leave matters to him, but Tang said he wanted to meet Song-chan. Inside the building, Robin told the chairman's men their plan had changed. Meanwhile, Song-chan sat in his room reading the handwritten confessions of his past victims. His phone buzzed. It was a message from Robin. "Lee Tang wants to meet you." Song-chan video called Tang immediately and told him to come to the air club. Tang arrived at the location where Song-chan was waiting. Song-chan said he wanted to test Tang's level. Tang stayed silent. Song-chan asked if he could really sense who deserved to die. Tang gave no reply. Song-chan mocked him for acting dull. Suddenly,
the Scorpion Gang barged in. Their leader ordered his men to tie Tang and Song-chan up. Song-chan told Tang that he already knew they were criminals. Tang confirmed this. Tang then asked Song-chan where his book was. Song-chan said he had not finished reading it and warned Tang not to trust Robin. He suggested Tang work with him, saying his mistakes could be forgiven and that errors were inevitable when doing good for the world. He told Tang to think about it and give an answer the next day. As Song-chan turned to leave, Tang lunged, but Song-chan easily overpowered him. He threw Tang across the room, slapped him, and told him he possessed the ability to sense impending attacks. He said Tang had no sense of responsibility and might deserve to die. The Scorpion Gang returned. In the confusion, Tang escaped. Outside, Tang found Robin tied up and freed him. Tang began to leave, and Robin begged for another chance. Tang, trembling, broke down in fear. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. The shot had been fired by Song-chan. He single-handedly killed the entire Scorpion Gang. He then forced one of the surviving men to call the chairman and falsely report that Song-chan had escaped through a back alley. The man also said the chairman wanted Song-chan captured alive to avenge his granddaughter's death. Song-chan commented that the granddaughter had been the same girl from art school. When police arrived, they found no survivors. Detective Jang was called to the station and shown hotel surveillance footage. He recognized both Robin and Tang. A female officer added that she had also found footage of Song-chan sitting in a car. Officers canvassed the area showing Song-chan's photo. A man reported that gang members had recently been asking about him as well. Above them, Song-chan watched from a rooftop as police and gang members searched for him. When officers raided his home, they found stacks of apology letters written by his victims. Meanwhile, Robin and Tang planned to flee south. They went to Tang's hometown and obtained duplicate SIM cards under a woman's name. That night, Tang quietly slipped out of the house. As he walked through the streets, he saw a missing person notice with his own face pasted on a wall. Tang froze. A short distance ahead, he saw his mother walking anxiously. Keeping a distance, he followed her all the way to the church. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Song-chan had captured the chairman's trusted aide. After beating him, he demanded information about the chairman's location. The police still had no solid lead on him. Detective Jang, piecing together the situation, realized Song-chan was heading for the chairman and rushed there with his team. Inside the chairman's mansion, his assistant called the guards and told them not to enter the chairman's room for an hour. The order did not come from the chairman. It was Song-chan who forced her to say it. The chairman himself was tied to a chair, helpless before him. Song-chan handed the assistant sleeping pills, causing her to collapse. Outside, the guards speculated that the old man might be mourning his granddaughter with a girl of her age. Inside, Song-chan mocked the chairman. He accused him of destroying countless lives by demolishing a building, claiming his granddaughter died because of his own greed. He said that when the world learned of the chairman's death, they would praise the killer. He pushed paper and pen toward him and ordered him to write an apology. At that moment, Detective Jang stormed in and demanded Song-chan let the chairman go. Song-chan held the grip on the chairman's neck, warning that if he pulled his hand, the air would escape from the wound and kill him. He announced that after killing the chairman, he would surrender with all evidence. Detective Jang fired a blank round to intimidate him. Song-chan laughed, saying Jang had never killed anyone and was trying to avenge his father. Then, without hesitation, Song-chan slit the chairman's throat. Police rushed in and restrained him. As he was dragged away, he stared at Jang and laughed. Moments later, the captain expressed disappointment, saying that if they had saved the chairman, he would have received a promotion. Reporters would soon arrive, and he ordered Jang to act as though he had tried his best. He also mentioned arranging for Jang's father to be moved to a police hospital. Elsewhere, Robin confided in Tang. He said that when he was young, robbers killed his parents, and none of his relatives cared. He realized that justice required strength he lacked, so he borrowed strength from others. At the station, Song-chan sat cuffed inside a police van. He complained that the blood on his hands was drying and asked for the cuffs to be loosened. One officer instructed his partner to loosen them slightly. The moment they did, Song-chan attacked both officers, killed the driver, and caused the van to crash. He crawled out of the wreckage and escaped. The next day, at the chairman's funeral, his son confronted the captain, ordering him to catch the fugitive and his accomplices or risk losing his career. Later, while Tang and Robin were eating, breaking news appeared on television. The police were searching for Song-chan and his two accomplices. Photos of Tang and Robin appeared on the screen. Fear spread. Robin visited a dentist he had previously helped cover up fraud for, hoping to receive money. At the same time, Tang's sister and mother learned from the broadcast that Tang was wanted.
Driving later, Tang stopped his car, frustrated. Bin tried to calm him, saying he had another plan. They would escape by ship, secretly. They met an agent to arrange the journey, but the cost was far too high. Soon after, Bin's phone rang. Expecting the dentist, he answered, but it was Song-chan who asked where they were going. He said the police were after all three of them and demanded they come to a factory, insisting they were now friends. Tang asked who had called, and Bin lied that it was the dentist. Bin then pulled over on the highway and told Tang they had to split up because traveling together risked capture. He said Tang should take the ship while he took a bus. After Bin left to find the bus schedule, Tang secretly hacked his phone to track his location. They separated. Tang took a taxi to the port, submitted his fake passport, and waited. In his bag, he found a letter. Meanwhile, Bin visited Detective Jang's home. He said he knew where to find Song-chan. Jang demanded to know what Bin had been doing at the hotel the previous night and how many deaths his actions had caused. Bin replied that Jang was not innocent either, adding that he had come to help because he knew Song-chan better than anyone. Jang refused his help. At the same time, Jang's mother entered his father's room and found Song-chan already inside. Jang received another call and left urgently. Elsewhere, Tang opened the letter Bin had left in his bag. Bin wrote that he could not accompany Tang and needed to finish his own work. He said their circumstances were his responsibility and that he had to correct them. Tang lowered the letter, shaken, and walked away quietly. Detective Jang arrived next at the hospital only to learn his father had died. His mother was safe. Jang's partner advised him to go home and rest, but Jang refused. He retrieved his gun from his car. In the back seat, Bin revealed himself. Jang demanded he take him to Song-chan. The captain arrived and tried to stop him, urging him to rest. Jang nodded coldly, got into the car, and drove off. After he left, officers rushed to the captain, saying Jang was pursuing Song-chan for revenge. During the car ride, Bin anxiously asked what Jang planned to do. He begged him not to tell Tang anything. Jang told him to stay quiet. Bin insisted he would help catch Song-chan, but asked Jang to promise not to hurt Tang afterward. Elsewhere, Tang had stolen a car and was tracking Bin's movements using the hacked phone. Inside Jang's car, Bin attempted again to justify their killings, saying all their targets had been guilty. Jang slammed the brakes and dragged him out of the car, asking who they thought they were, some kind of saviors? Bin replied by challenging Jang and questioning his motives, saying he himself was going after Song-chan not as a police officer but for revenge. Bin eventually arrived alone at the factory where Song-chan waited. Song-chan mocked him, saying he knew Bin must have used some trick. Moments later, Detective Jang entered. Song-chan laughed, saying he hadn't expected him to arrive so quickly. He accused Bin of using Jang to catch him. Jang corrected him. He was there not to arrest him, but to kill him. Song-chan claimed that Jang's father had suffered for years and that he had freed him from his pain. Jang raised his gun but hesitated. Song-chan mocked his hesitation. At that moment, Tang appeared. Song-chan's expression shifted to excitement. He fired at Tang, and everyone ducked. Tang attacked from behind and stabbed Song-chan in the stomach. They struggled for control of the gun. Bin joined the fight. Jang raised his weapon, aiming at Song-chan, but before he could act, gunfire erupted. A stray bullet struck Bin. Tang knelt beside him, devastated, asking why he had come. Wounded, Song-chan looked at Tang and asked if he truly believed he had a divine power to sense guilt, and if he considered himself different from any other killer. Jang ordered him to stop talking, but Song-chan continued. He taunted Jang, saying if Jang killed him, his mother would suffer, and questioned whether Jang thought his mother was innocent. Jang told him to stay quiet. Song-chan laughed and claimed he did nothing to Jang's mother. He said it had been Jang's father's own friend who slept with her. He warned Jang that if he killed him, he would never learn the full truth. Song-chan's tone grew harsher. He described how Jang's father had humiliated him, how he trained in combat, studied cases, but was always treated as a fool. He said Jang's father had been corrupt, secretly dealing drugs through an airport incident involving a canteen worker. He claimed Jang's father beat him repeatedly and blocked his promotions. In the end, Song-chan said he struck him out of anger. Behind Jang, Tang stood in silence, his body tense. His instinctive signal pushed him toward killing Jang. Song-chan continued mocking Jang, calling his father corrupt and his mother deceitful. Jang's anger rose. Tang stepped forward and demanded the gun, saying he would kill Song-chan himself, noting Jang had never killed anyone. Before Tang could act, Song-chan yanked the knife from his own stomach and lunged at Tang. In that instant, Detective Jang fired. The bullet struck Song-chan, killing him. Tang stared at the body and said to Jang, "It's not easy to kill until you get used to it." Then he saw lying on the floor his missing book, Crime and Punishment. After Jung's father's death, the police held a memorial, honoring him as a loyal officer. During the gathering, Jong saw his father's former friend, the man Song-chun, accused of having an affair with Jong's mother. Their eyes met, and the man looked away. Young-jae, recovering after brain surgery, told Jong he liked a nurse and planned to propose once he was better. Later, the police superior confronted Jong. She asked why he had not appealed his suspension, saying he could have claimed self-defense. Jong said he had made mistakes and accepted the punishment. She showed him an investigation file. In the past 5 years, Song-chan had killed more than 30 people. She added that Song-chan had an accomplice, Ro-bin, who helped him in each killing, and that Ro-bin was dead as well. She said they discovered Song-chan had researched his victims thoroughly and kept weapons without leaving fingerprints. Then she asked Jong why he had been following a boy named Lee Tang. She said there was no evidence against Tang and asked if he had been there the night Song-chun died. Jong remembered Tang in the shadows that night and Ro-bin pleading for him. He also recalled himself telling Tang, "I'm letting you go today, but one day you'll be caught." Jong told the officer nothing and left. Soon after, the hideout burned to ashes. The fire destroyed everything: Song-chun's body, Ro-bin's records, and Tang's book. By the time police arrived, Tang had disappeared. Days later, snow fell. Tang's mother returned from church and found her husband clearing snow outside. She asked why he had gone out in such harsh weather. He replied he had not been outside at all. She stepped into the snow herself and realized Tang had been there.
Tang fled the country and lived a low-key life doing menial jobs abroad, but his freedom ended soon. The police eventually arrested him and deported him to Korea because of his illegal stay. At the station, the police superior told Jang that they had no evidence against Tang and that only Jang's testimony could determine his fate. Jang looked at the officer and said nothing. Without a testimony, Tang was a free man.
Time passed. One day, Jong visited a shop to buy chewing gum. The television behind the counter displayed breaking news. A man named Kim had been found dead. He had committed a brutal murder 3 years earlier. Jong froze, realizing Tang had killed him. Meanwhile, Tang wandered alone through the streets. A stranger brushed against him. Immediately, Tang's body reacted. The familiar signal, the urge to kill, returned.
The drama ends here. So that's it for today. If you have a K-drama or movie you'd like me to recap, please leave your suggestion in the comments.